Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review of the 2024 Mexico Grand Prix. Pretty exciting Grand Prix. Not a lot of overtaking on track, but there was quite a bit of drama, quite a bit of carnage as well. So it started with Sainz on pole, Verstappen P2. Ocon, after a poor qualifying yesterday, opted to start from the pit lane. Sainz cuts turn one, which basically allowed Verstappen to take the lead on that first lap. But we would have contact further back. Gasly, Albon, and Tsunoda basically all kind of started converging on the same spot. Tsunoda was very much almost on the outside of the track at this point, but the end result was contact between Albon and Tsunoda. Tsunoda was basically sent spinning, and he would end up in the wall at the exit of turn one. So he was out of the race. Albon was out of the race as well, and that would bring out the safety car. So Sainz, after, like I said before, cut turn one, had to give the position back to Verstappen, who basically was P2 behind him. Verstappen leads at this point. Perez, really good start for him, up to 13th, but there were some reasons why he had a good start. Perez was then under investigation for a false start, and he was then given a 5-second time penalty. Lap 6, safety car ends. Pretty quiet restart, not a whole lot of changes for position. Lap 9, Sainz overtakes Verstappen for the lead of the race at turn 1. Verstappen very unhappy with some kind of issue with his car, with the battery. So I'm guessing that the battery was not deploying when he thought it should have been, which meant that he was quite slow at the end of the straight. Lap 10, Norris tries to overtake Verstappen at turn 4, but basically Verstappen is very, very aggressive, pushes him off right pretty much to the edge of the track, doing basically what he did the week before in Coda. Norris takes the lead there. Or doesn't take the lead, but gets ahead of Verstappen there. But Verstappen tries to re-overtake him going into turn 8. And this basically was, the end result of this was, this is of course a very high-speed corner, not a very normal overtaking spot, but Verstappen basically just dives down the inside and just pushes Norris off track. So Verstappen gets the position back there, but Leclerc, in kind of the chaos of that, gets ahead of both of them. So Leclerc is now ahead of Verstappen and Norris as a result of that move. Lap 13, Perez was up to 11, so good progress from him. Verstappen's turn 4 and turn 8 moves were under investigation, and he was given 2 10-second penalties. So it really felt like, I'm not going to say the stewards had it out for them, but I think they were definitely keeping an eye on Verstappen after kind of the controversy from the last Grand Prix in Coda. So it definitely felt like if there was the opportunity to give Verstappen a penalty, they were definitely going to take, and that's kind of what they did here with those 2 10-second penalties. That really takes Verstappen out of the fight for the podium. Lap 15, Russell overtakes Hamilton for P5 at turn 1. Alonso, really unfortunate 400th Grand Prix for him. He retires in the pits. Then we have a fight between Lawson and Perez, wheel to wheel, going through turns 4 and 6. Perez pushes Lawson wide, basically does the same thing that Verstappen did to Norris. But Lawson basically fights back, comes back to the apex, and basically pushes Perez wide. And there's contact between Perez's wheel and the side pod of Perez's car, and this likely led to damage. But the end result was that Lawson kept his position, and Perez was rapidly losing pace. So that was when Verstappen's second penalty was announced, and Perez would also pit at this point, pitting for medium tires. So it seemed like perhaps he had a puncture as well, because given he started on the hard tires, it would have been way too early to pit for that normal strategy. Lap 21, Piastri overtakes Colapinto for P12. Lap 27, Verstappen pits, serves his 2 10-second penalties. I guess it was fine for them to basically serve 2 penalties, so basically he had both of them all at once, and he comes out in 15th place. Lap 29, Gasly thought what looked like he had a slow stop, but I think it turns out the field was just so tightly packed together that even though he showed up like 16th or 17th, or I think it was 16th after his pit stop, it was just the field was so tight together that that was kind of just where he naturally came out. Lap 32, Verstappen up to 9, so really, really good recovery at this point for Verstappen. Overtaking a number of cars, but also benefiting from a lot of the midfield cars deciding to pit at this point in the race as well. Lap 34, Piastri overtakes Lawson for P5. Both of them yet to pit. So this was kind of a P5, but of course they still had to pit, so they were going to end up much further back. Lap 36, Verstappen overtakes Colapinto for P8, turn 1, and this was for virtual P6. So that was basically Verstappen's last overtake to that point in the race. Lap 44, Piastri overtakes Gasly for P10. Lap 45, Perez pits again, decides to pit for medium tires, so I guess the tires were just too worn out. Lap 52, Hamilton putting pressure on Russell, so it looked like Russell had some kind of damage on the front wing, definitely was lacking a bit of pace at this point, unfortunate for him. Lap 56, Piastri overtakes Hülkenberg for turn 8 at turn 1, Sainz, comfortable 6-second lead, really comfortable for him. Lap 58, Hamilton still not able to pass Russell, lap 60, Hamilton tries for a move at turn 4, but not able to make it stick. At this point, Norris was also gaining on Leclerc, so Norris finding a good amount of pace late in the race. Leclerc then has a massive snap of oversteer in the final corner. That could have been quite nasty, but luckily for him, he manages to kind of keep it under control. But he does lose a position to Norris in the process of that. So now Norris up to P2, which unfortunately kind of mitigates whatever tactics Verstappen was trying to do at the restart, because I'm sure the whole point of that was basically just to hurt Norris as much as possible, and hoping that, Ferraris would get a 1-2 and, Norris would only get, a P3 at best. But no, Norris was up to P2. Lap 66, Hamilton overtakes Russell for P4 at turn 1. Lawson gets front wing damage after Colapinto overtakes him going in the first corner, so he's unfortunately forced to pit for a new front wing. So otherwise I thought it was a decent race from Lawson. Perez and Lawson are then back close together on track, and then basically you have this crazy sequence where basically Lawson pits, gets fastest lap, Leclerc decides to pit for fastest lap because he had the gap to Russell, and then Red Bull decided to try to bring Perez in to get fastest lap as well. So you had 3 cars all trying to go for fastest lap showdown. Final lap, not a whole lot of action, but Sainz takes a checker flag, and it turns out Leclerc would be the winner of that fastest lap duel. So your result, Carlos Sainz wins his 4th ever Grand Prix, second this year of course after Australia, and of course with him going to Williams next year, these being his last handful of races for Ferrari, could this be Carlos Sainz's last win in F1? Obviously you don't want to really speculate about these kinds of things, because I think Sainz is a very good driver and I hope he has that chance in the future, but with how things are in F1, you never really know when your last chance is your last chance. But, this definitely very well could be his final win. Norris 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, 4th Hamilton, 5th Russell, 6th Verstappen. So they definitely left some points on the board there today with his 2 moves against Norris. Otherwise, I think it would have been a very easy P4. So definitely, a couple left some points on the board. I felt Verstappen did today. 7th Magnussen, 8th Piastri, 9th Hülkenberg, and 10th Gasly rounding out the points. 11th Stroll, 12th Colapinto, 13th Ocon, 14th Bottas, 15th Zhou, 16th Lawson, and 17th with an absolute disaster of a home Grand Prix was Sergio Perez. Your 3 DNFs, Alonso, Albon, and Tsunoda. Now going into your Drivers' Championship. Standings don't really change except for 1 spot further down, but Verstappen does get his lead eaten into, so 362 points for Verstappen, Norris 2nd on 315, so that gap is now 47 points, so it's finally under 50 points, and again with 4 rounds to go. Leclerc 3rd, 290 points, 4th Piastri 251, 5th Sainz 240, 6th Hamilton 189, 7th Russell 177, 8th Perez 150, 9th Alonso 62, 10th Hülkenberg 31, 11th Stroll 24, 12th Tsunoda 22, 13th Magnussen moves up 2 spots, almost doubles his tally for the season with 14 points. 14th Albon 12 points, 15th Ricciardo on 12, 16th Gasly also gets a point for his 10th place finish, so he's on 9, 17th Berman on 7, 18th Colapinto on 5, 19th Ocon on 5, 20th Lawson on 2, and then Zhou, Sargent, Bottas all on 0 points. The other big change today was in the Constructors' Championship, as Ferrari have passed Red Bull in that. So they're now P2, and I think they're about 30 or so points behind McLaren. So 4 races to go. So again, not completely settled. That top spot in the Constructors' Championship, definitely a really interesting fight with 4 spots to go. And I guess I think at this point, realistically, Red Bull are going to be consigned to P3. So there you go. There's my review of the 2024 Mexico City Grand Prix. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.